Good evening. This is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Jonas Yantan with Evening News. The headlines. ICMR recommends measures to optimize RTPCR testing. Says RTPCR test must not be repeated in any individual who has tested positive once either by RAT or RTPCR. Health Minister S Pangnyu Phom says installation of PSA Oxygen Generation Plant at Naga Hospital Authority Kohima will be completed by tonight. 50 coffee growers of Kohima District receives coffee pulpers under NEC. And night curfew in Kohima comes into effect this evening. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise, we appeal to our listeners to take all the precautions and all those above 18 years of age to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, focus on hand and face hygiene, and maintain a distance of 2 yards for social distancing. Now the news in detail. Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR has issued an advisory for COVID-19 testing during the second wave of the pandemic. It said at present the laboratories are facing challenges to meet the expected testing target due to extraordinary caseload and staff getting infected with COVID-19. In view of this situation, it is imperative to optimize the RT-PCR testing and simultaneously increase the access and availability of testing of all citizens of the country. In its advisory, the ICMR has recommended measures to optimize RT-PCR testing. It said RT-PCR test must not be repeated in any individual who has tested positive once either by RAT or RT-PCR. No testing is required for COVID-19 recovered individuals at the time of hospital discharge in accordance with the discharge policy of the Union Health Ministry. Besides, the need for RT-PCR test in healthy individuals undertaking interstate domestic travel may be completely removed to reduce the load on laboratories. Non-essential travel and interstate travel of symptomatic individuals should be essentially avoided to reduce the risk of infection. All asymptomatic individuals undertaking essential travel must follow COVID-appropriate behavior. The ICMR said mobile testing laboratories are now available on GEM portal and states are encouraged to augment RT-PCR testing through mobile systems. With regard to measures to ramp up testing through rapid antigen test RAT, the ICMR said RAT may be allowed at all available government and private healthcare facilities. Dedicated RAT booths should be set up in cities, towns and villages to offer testing to people. It said testing booths may be set up at multiple locations, including healthcare facilities, RWA, offices, schools, colleges, community centres and other available vacant spaces. These booths should be operational round the clock to improve access and availability of testing. Symptomatic individuals identified positive by RAT should not be retested and advised to go through home-based care as per ICMR guidelines. The ICMR said all states are advised to ensure full utilization of the available RT-PCR testing capacity both in public and private laboratories. Health and Family Welfare Minister S Pangnyu Phom visited the ongoing installation of PSA Oxygen Generation Plant at Naga Hospital Authority Kohima today. Pangnyu in a tweet informed that the installation will be completed tonight. He said leakage testing will be conducted tomorrow, followed by certification process for official use of the plant. The minister further informed that the other 2 PSA plant will be installed at Dimapur and Mugukchung soon. This news comes to you from All India Radio Kohima. You can also listen to this news bulletin on our YouTube channel, AIR News Kohima. Chief Minister Nipuryo today distributed coffee pulpers to 50 beneficiaries of coffee growers of Kohima District, funded by NEC. Speaking at a program, the Chief Minister said such initiative will provide economic benefits to rural farming communities as well as sustain the economic growth of the state. Stating that coffee industry is one of the highest growing markets in the world, Rio said there are about 1,886 coffee farmers in the state and therefore encouraged the farmers to take up coffee farming on a large scale. He said Nagaland coffee is one of the best qualities, adding that there is a huge demand in the European countries. He also said the state can emerge as one of the largest organic coffee producing states in the country. Terming the coffee farmers as a pioneer, the Chief Minister said they should have a systematic organization which will not only help in their individual growth but also boost the state's economy. Rio further said through the CM Corpus Fund, the state will train the farmers of every district and subdivisions in order to build coffee shops for their sustainability. Night curfew imposed in Kohima District has begun this evening. The curfew will be from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. on all days and will remain in force till further notice. However, medical, emergency and essential services, including pharmacies, movement of goods vehicles like goods carriers or trucks, have been exempted from the curfew. Besides, the odd-even vehicular movement has also come into force this evening for a period of 7 days in the declared containment zones of Kohima Municipal Council areas and new capital complex. Home Ministry has asked governments of states and union territories to put in place a plan of action to ensure that no fire incident occurs in any of the health facilities, particularly COVID-19 dedicated facilities, both in the government and private sector. In a communication today to the Chief Secretaries of States and Administrators of Union Territories, the Home Secretary highlighted that short-circuiting takes place either because of high temperature, lack of maintenance, or high load on the internal wirings. The states and union territories have been requested to conduct a detailed review with officials from the health, power, and fire departments. Necessary remedial action must be taken immediately in case of any deficiencies are found. The communication also highlighted that a large number of COVID-19 cases are under treatment in COVID-dedicated health facilities across the country. States and union territories have been asked to ensure that there is uninterrupted power supply on regular 24/7 basis in all the hospitals and medical facilities. The government has identified 581 sites for setting up of additional pressure swing absorption PSA medical oxygen plants in various states. In a series of tweets, Road, Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said National Highway Authority of India (NHAI) will be the nodal agency for executing civil and electrical work for these plants and will complete them on a war footing. He said our engineers will work with the doctors to ensure oxygen supply to needy patients. And the minister said, like record speed in roads, NHAI will construct infrastructure at record speed to save life of every Indian. TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee was sworn in as the Chief Minister of West Bengal for the third consecutive term today. Governor Jagdeep Dhankar administered her oath of office in secrecy at a simple ceremony held at a Raj Bhavan in Kolkata. The swearing-in of the newly elected MLAs will be held in the Assembly House in 2 phases tomorrow and the day after. The oath-taking ceremony at a Raj Bhavan was held following all COVID protocol. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Mamata Banerjee on taking oath as West Bengal's Chief Minister. Banerjee has become the second woman in the country to be sworn in as Chief Minister of any state consecutively for 3 terms after former Chief Minister of Delhi, Sheila Dikshit. And now to the news, here are the main points again. ICMR recommends measures to optimize RTPCR testing. Says RTPCR test must not be repeated in any individual who has tested positive once either by RAT or RTPCR. Health Minister S Pangnyu Phom says installation of PSA Oxygen Generation Plant at Naga Hospital Authority Kohima will be completed tonight. 50 coffee growers of Kohima District receives coffee pulpers under NEC. And night curfew in Kohima comes into effect this evening. That is all we have in this evening news bulletin. Good night.